Y'all, relocating to the Carolinas can either be the biggest dream move or a total disaster. And usually what I hear from buyers comes down to the same 5 mistakes. And if you're planning to move to North or South Carolina, these could cost you thousands of dollars, hours of wasted time and energy, and years of frustration potentially. So let's make sure that doesn't happen to you. And if you're planning to buy, sell, or invest in the Carolinas, specifically Lake Wylie, Rock Hill, Fort Mill, Charlotte, North Carolina, and kind of everywhere in between, Lake Norman, Lake Wylie, all those places, go and reach out, because I get calls and texts and emails from people like you every single day looking to know more about our area and the market here in the greater Charlotte metro. So if that's you, go ahead and reach out. My phone number's on the screen. I have other forms of contact info in the description below. My name is James Lanius as well. I don't know if I said that. I'm a real estate professional here in the Carolinas, and my wife and I started this YouTube channel to help people on their relocation journeys and local journeys of moving and buying here in the Carolinas and Charlotte specifically. So yeah, go ahead and reach out if that's you. Now let's go and get started. And I'm going to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes people move when relocating here to our beautiful city of Charlotte and the Carolinas. Now, the biggest mistake I see a lot of buyers making before they visit, and I think this is true for most spots you move to if you relocate in somewhere, is buying before you visit. Now, this is more common than you think, believe it or not. A lot of people buy sight unseen, and they might even like video tour an area, or like have the realtor agent like take a video of the home and different neighborhoods and stuff, which I've done before. And sometimes it turns out really great and the people love it, and they end up, finding a home that they live in for years and years and years. But a lot of the time, I see people regretting not being able to actually step foot in a place before they see it. I mean, Google Street View and FaceTime, they just don't do justice for an area sometimes. Not that there's like scary things in a home or a neighborhood that, you didn't see on the camera or over Google Maps or whatever. But I think it's more just the feeling you get when you actually come to an area and see it for yourselves. And, people that buy virtually just don't get that feel, or maybe don't realize that there's like a train track, 300 feet from their backyard or something. So I always recommend, if at all possible, it's not possible in every case, that you try to visit in person before you make an offer on something, or even ideally before you start to look at homes. Well, maybe not before you start to look at homes online, but maybe before you get really serious and like get a pre-approval letter for a mortgage and all that stuff. Definitely check out an area, like make a day trip of it, at least if you're close by, or fly in for the weekend or something and just enjoy yourself. But look at some of these areas, get a feel for the spots. And another mistake I see people making, this is kind of a bonus thing, is that a lot of people do visit and they check out an area, and then they kind of get in the fear that, oh my gosh, I haven't seen everything. I have to see everything. But that's a mistake too, I think, because you are kind of living in fear, which isn't a good thing overall, but you're trying to see everything in like a weekend, and it's not possible. But if you get a generally good feel about a spot and you see kind of what you want to see, then I think that's a pretty good indicator that, place to be your next home. Now, the second mistake I see people making quite a bit here, especially when they're moving to our area, is that they don't understand the commute times and the actual distance from, the grocery store to their home, or maybe where their new job is to their next home. So, a daily 45+ minute commute can really ruin the joy of your new dream home. And so just be aware of that. And I mean, the Charlotte traffic, for example, does bottleneck in a lot of spots, like 77 and 74 and 45. And depending on rush hour, it could be 10 miles that turns into 45 minutes. Now, that's not always the case. Depends on where you live, but that's just something to know. There's just some examples of different commute times and distances. And I hope that gives you an idea that, understanding the commute is important when you're moving to an area. And I think most people understand that, but you'd be surprised how many people do not. So that's the second mistake. The third one I want to mention is not understanding the difference between North Carolina and South Carolina taxes. Now, this is one of the biggest financial surprises I see for relocation buyers. And, the biggest thing is you don't want to be shocked by the higher property tax bills or income tax differences after you move, especially if you're looking to retire. The differences in property taxes and, not property taxes, Social Security and capital gains taxes are huge. So yeah, South Carolina does offer lower property taxes, but higher vehicle taxes, and state income taxes vary by brackets depending on how much income you make. You will need to register your vehicle within 45 days of moving here, and South Carolina buyers are shocked by how those fees can be. So yeah, it's just something to be aware of. And you just want to factor in all the costs, not just the price of the home, how much it costs to live in an area and move to an area. All right, are you still with me? Okay, good. Because at the end of this video, I'm gonna reveal the last mistake that people make a lot here in the Carolinas when moving here, that a lot of people don't know about, but it costs their kids years of maybe difficulty or just bouncing around to different places to go to school and stuff. So it's just important. Be sure to stick around at the end. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in detail. Now, the next mistake I see a lot of people making when relocating to my area, the greater Charlotte metro, is that you assume all of the areas are the same. Now, the Carolinas are super diverse in culture, in the feel, in vibe, in the landscaping. Actually, I mean, South Carolina and North Carolina is a huge difference in the weather and everything. So you might love the charm of a place like Waxhaw, North Carolina, but feel overwhelmed in Ballantyne, North Carolina, which are two very different places, but they're only like 20 to 25 minutes apart. And that might be reversed too. So it's really important to just understand that the Carolinas are very diverse. There's a lot of different spots and places, and you might go to an area when you visit that is not representative of Charlotte at all. In fact, it might be like 0.001% of what Charlotte is really like. So it's just, I think, important to visit a lot of different areas and get a feel for all of Charlotte has to offer without, going overboard, like I mentioned at the beginning, and, being afraid you're not seeing everything at once, right? But you just want to kind of get a feel for all the different types of areas in Charlotte. And obviously, someone like me who knows the area can kind of help you do that and kind of, points in the direction of this neighborhood that has this feel, this other neighborhood that has kind of this other feel, and maybe this district that is kind of its own type of feel in and of itself. So just be aware of that. I've had buyers say, wow, I didn't even know a town like York existed, and it's exactly what I've been dreaming of, but they don't know that because they just don't know. You think when you are looking to move to Charlotte that Charlotte is all of Charlotte has to offer, like Charlotte proper, like the city of Charlotte. But there's so many cool suburbs within like 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes of Charlotte that have their own unique feel and character and identity while still being, hop, skip, and a jump to the actual, uptown part of Charlotte and all the cool areas that has to offer. So that's something I see people make a lot of mistakes when moving here. And the last one I would mention, this is kind of the bonus one about the families, and probably the biggest one. Well, one of the biggest ones I see people make is skipping the local school research. Now, even if you don't have kids, this affects your property resale and value. So you don't want to move into a home city and find out the school options and, just kind of the lifestyle of the schooling system don't match your family's needs and your desires and values. So school ratings in the Carolinas do vary quite a bit. There's some really amazing school districts like in Fort Mill and Clover and a lot of parts of Union County and different parts of Harrisburg and Concord, and a lot of school districts in Charlotte are some of the best ones in the entire state. But there's some spots that aren't as highly rated, and there's some really great resources out there if you're looking to find out more about school ratings and different schools in the area you're looking at moving to. And greatschools.org, niche.com, schooldigger.com is another great one. Check out those spots. They offer a lot of great insight into the local communities and different schools, a lot of the programs they offer and the ratings they have. And yeah, I can also help walk you through some of the best family-friendly areas and school districts here, and many are not what you'd expect. So definitely do not make that mistake when moving to the Carolinas, especially if you have kiddos that are school age, or maybe moving into school age if you have babies or something like us. So friends, these are the 5 biggest mistakes that I see a lot of relocation buyers making when they're moving to the Carolinas. And I really hope this helped you just have a general idea and a feel for a lot of these different parts of Charlotte and some of the reasons that, you might want to do a little bit more research before you move to an area, or just pack your bags and, hop states and move to the Carolinas. Because all in all, I just want to make sure that your move feels like one of the best decisions you've ever made. It's not going to be perfect by any means, but, with some teamwork and just local experience and knowledge, I think it can be a really great decision. We can just kind of get you a full feeling and understanding of the part and area of Charlotte you're moving to before you move here. And I think it'd be really valuable to you. So if you would like help doing that, and if you need help investing, buying, selling in the greater Charlotte metro of the greater Carolina region, I want you to go ahead and reach out via my phone number on the screen right there in front of you. And you can also reach out via other forms of contact info in the description. And like I mentioned, I have people reaching out off my YouTube channel every single day, asking questions about my market here, about different homes I post property tour walkthroughs of, maybe different areas and communities, and just the feel of these different spots. And I get a lot of questions about those 5 mistakes I actually just went through. which is kind of why I pulled those out of. So anyway, go ahead and reach out. I'd love to help you on your real estate journey. No obligation, no pressure. I'm not going to twist your arm to do anything. I cannot force you to buy a home. I'm not trying to. I'm just here to add value to you and just help you wherever you're at. That's my job as a real estate agent, to just walk with people along one of the biggest decisions and purchases of their lives, and just bring them peace and joy in the process, I hope, and just bring them peace of mind as they make a really significant decision for them and their family. And if you did find this video helpful, please go ahead and like it. There's a thumbs up button in the bottom right. Also subscribe to our channel. It helps my wife and I as we venture to bring value to people and educate people about our hometown and home city of Charlotte. My wife was born here. I relocated here 6 years back, so we kind of know what it's like to relocate and live here your entire life, kind of from both sides of the aisle. But anyway, I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video, and hopefully even maybe showing you around town very soon, like I've done with so many other folks. Talk soon. Bye.